All right, so in the news, right?
In the news.
Yeah, we see the mother from Chicago. The mother from Chicago was in a argument with a guy, and he put his hands on her, and her son fatally shot the what is he called?
The assailant.
The assailant, right?
That's what he did. He assaulted her.
Talk about it.
So let's break this down. If you were living underneath a rock this weekend, Carlishia Hood, free her. She's now free. And her son, who we will leave nameless because he is a minor. He's a child. And I think, first and foremost, we have to make that very well known, because I'm a proponent of that, especially for black males, that they are not looked at as children.
Yeah,
They
right.
always want to be adults,
Yes.
even at 10. So he's a child, and I'm glad they withheld his name. So the mother, Carlishia Hood, got into an altercation, an argument in a restaurant, and a black man knocked her kufi off, knocked the wind out her body.
Pushed her muffin cap back blue. Okay. He
did.
robo-doped that ass. This was Apollo Creed.
Part 5. The
Yes.
the sequel, prequel.
This is when the Russians, he was like, get him. When the wife was like, get him.
It's not
It
funny.
was one of those. Because I
know-
was like, he robo-doped her.
First of all, let us dissect the limited video that we saw. I was very disturbed by it because you could see the anger. This wasn't his first rodeo. I'm
No.
willing to bet my 2 kidneys, and I'll need them in the future, very near future, that he's hit a woman before, a
Yes.
black woman before. And it could be his black mama, his black grandma, his black auntie, his black baby mother. But this was not his first time assaulting women, because if it was, he was very comfortable with doing it the first
Absolutely.
time in the public to a woman he never met, allegedly, up until this point. And it's so ironic that he went for wings and left with some. And he kept putting it on his grandmama, and I don't think he met her at the gate, but R.I.P.
Right.
I'm making light of it, but I'm very upset by it. We live
Tell us
in
why
a-
you mad, sis.
Would you like to know?
The floor is yours.
Sit up for this. We live in a society where black women are attacked at a higher rate than any of our peers, especially by men of color. And it's disturbing, and it's saddening, and it's disgusting. And the thing that really grinds my mother effing gears is I can guarantee you if that was a white woman, it wouldn't have went that route. I'm not going to say little Johnny on the spot wouldn't have tweaked out, but I doubt if he would have hit her like that. You know why? Because in his mind, that white woman came with some different protection and connections. And whether it was the protection of politicians, police, Ku Klux Klan, her family members, he would have stopped and thought about his future. He would have stopped and thought about those 2 black daughters that he left fatherless. He would have stopped and thought about a lot of things because he realized that that woman was protected. And it bothers me and it saddens me that black women are not protected in the same manner as other women. Say what you want. We're going to get into her mouth. We're going to get into how we can agitate and get underneath y'all skin. I get it. What I don't understand is why you feel that you can disrespect us. Because we're left, that bothered me out of everything. Like he balled his, like when you see, first of all, okay, because I'm very well versed in hood body language and hood verbiage. So the fist, when he was pounding the fist, I was like, this ain't even going to end well. Before I seen the punch, I said, he looks like he's about to, sure enough, he knocked the cotton out her socks.
Right.
But my second problem that I have and why I say there's a lack of protection for black women is there were black men in that space before he got to hit her. Where did we get to such this point where we mind our business while minding the business that's not minding our business? Because what do I mean by that? We'll say in the black man is in the middle, well, hey, my sister, hey, my girl, I'm mind my business, but you'll pull out your phone and you'll record. That's not minding your business. It's not minding your business.
Selective.
Yeah,
that's how you engage.
That's selective minding your business. And we need for other black men, and I know, and it's going to look like I'm attacking. In this case, I'm going to be very real, I am. I'm not attacking. It's accusatory, and yet it's also a call. It's a plea for action. It's a plea to jump. We need other black men to start standing up and stand for sisters. Whether it's your mother, whether it ain't your mother, whether her mouth is running. I'm not saying that there are some instances where you might could let it go, but for the most case, de-escalate it. Yo, bro, you tweaking. Yo, man, come outside. She ain't even worth it, homie. Even if you didn't agree with her tactics, she deserves to be protected enough from him. Look at all the lives. Look at the tragedy. It's like a domino effect. Young black boy, he has now stepped up. He has now became a man in a sense where he shouldn't have had to. Mm-hmm. He literally went from boys to men in a nanosecond. And I don't blame that young black man. As a mother of 2 sons, I commend him. Would I want to put my son in a position where he has to defend me? No. But I'd be proud as fuck if he did have to do what he did. Because if Trayvon Martin can be killed for hoodies and Skittles and the mere thought of threat from walking in a neighborhood, then we should have no problems with this young black boy standing his ground over his mama. He did what needed to be done.
Is there any way that this, and I'm playing devil's advocate, is there any way that this was deserved on her part by getting hit, for getting hit? Like, what was the action that was done for this man to feel like he needed to put his hands on this woman?
Tell me that you condone domestic violence without telling me you condone domestic violence. What do you mean? Was there anything that she did? What?
I mean,
I don't know.
Is it considered domestic violence?
That was an act. Listen, domestic violence doesn't necessarily mean
in relationships.
In relationships, right?
Right.
It is something that's domesticated. They were in a store, a woman, a man, and he hit her. He physically, or okay, you know what? Take domestic violence out. He assaulted her. It was a crime.
Right.
And there's never a reason for you to willing. Like, what did she do? Mm-hmm. That's what I need to know. I don't forget. F what she said. Did she hit him? Do we have a video where she hit him?
Like, usually stuff, you won't, the record don't start until it gets loud, you know? So what if she came in, they knew each other, and she pushed him? Like, you know, like, get out my way.
I think that would have been, I know.
The start of it.
That would have been, to me, that would have been talked about. That would have been said.
What if nobody's seen that? Like, what happened?
I see, that's, okay, so we can't really say what happened, right? Unless we saw it, or unless you were there physically. Now, do I believe that she should have been dealt with in that manner? Absolutely not. But I do understand. I can understand people being hesitant in today's society to step in sometimes, because it's kind of like, what if the men around was like, yo, ma, chill, and she just kept going, right? Because I know somebody that knows her. He's from Chicago. And he was like, her mouth is reckless, and she doesn't know when to stop. It's like when keeping it real goes wrong, right? Right, allegedly. So, which everybody's perspective is different, because I may have met her and felt like it was her talking crazy is warranted. A male may have felt like, oh nah, she's over the top. So I understand both sides.
But what does over the top have to do with? And again, I think we don't take enough ownership, right? Onus within your individual. When do you say, you know what, her over the top ass, I'm not engaging with her, bitch. You ain't my girl, you ain't my mother.
But I guess it could have gone both ways to where both adults could have said, you know what, we're both in here to get something to eat. Everybody should have walked away alive that day.
But what I'm saying
unharmed.
to you, Jazz, is I agree with that. They could have. But he was the one who was agitated enough to punch her. So what I'm saying is, when do we, right? And I think this is something we need to start
practicing,
indoctrinating into our black men. Mm-hmm. You don't have the right, because somebody, what they don't say or what they do say, to hit a woman. Because a lot of times, 9 times out of 10, even in domestic violence issues, oh, her motherfucking mouth, she was saying so. So her mouth dictates and controls how you use your hands?
No, I agree. I agree that self-control is something that needs to be practiced more and something that needs to be spoke about more. Accountability is a major part because everyone has to be accountable for the actions that they played. Even if you and I would have an argument and I don't say anything, that's still an action, right? And I got to be accountable that I didn't say nothing.
Right.
And I feel like everybody was wrong here, except for the child at hand. And the only reason I'm going to say that is because, again, like you said, his mother, he's a child. He did what he felt needed to be done. The reason I say everybody was wrong because everybody could have walked away. Mom could have went and sat in her car and waited till her food was done. Or she could have waited till his food was done and he left and then she went back inside. You get what I'm saying? Like,
agreed.
At the end of the day, preserving life should be the ultimate goal.
Absolutely.
I'm not arguing with no man for the simple fact I know I can't fight no man. I know I got to call my father, my brother, my man, somebody.
Well, no, she had to go get the heat.
Jesus.
She had to go get the heat.
First of all, I'm not going nowhere in Chicago and I don't got my piece on me. Not to the store, not to church.
She had
All right, so hold on. So
it was in the car though.
So
I would have had it on me.
How did the young man get the gun?
So allegedly, mom texted him because she's in an argument. She's feeling threatened, and rightfully so.
And she said, "Bring my piece.
Bring the piece." Now that is where I question what's happening, and I think this hit home for me really hard. About 2 years ago, I was down south. My son he's 15, so he was 13 at the time. And I got into it with these young boys about his age. And I was livid with my son because I felt like he didn't come to my rescue enough. And my cousin, who at the time lost her son, got very upset with me. It was basically like, yeah, but you were in a place where you're putting him potentially at harm. And I didn't think about it in my hot-headedness because all in my mind, I'm saying, why aren't you defending me like I would have defended you? And sometimes as women, we have to be very careful of what we send our men into battle to do over us.
Right.
Because we have the power to speak life or death into our men. You understand? It goes both ways. And so that is the only part that I kind of struggle with. But then in my mind, I'm thinking, seeing what he did to her, did she feel an imminent threat in order to even ask her 14-year-old son to bring in the heat?
And why didn't she feel like she needed to leave?
Right.
And why she didn't leave? Like, why didn't she just get up and go? When he said, I'm going to hit you, and if you say another word, why don't you just like, you know what? I'm out of here.
Because a lot of us are conditioned from neighborhoods we come to.
But you know what happens when these rowdy niggas.
But we don't always.
You do know if you come from the neighborhood.
I know Chicago
and you know,
dangerous.
I know Queens is dangerous. Hell, Long Island dangerous. The point I'm making is though sometimes, and this goes back to what you said about de-escalation. We need to start talking about de-escalation techniques and tactics in the black community because a lot of us live on I wish a nigga would.
Right. And
You
that
feel
mentality
me?
has gotten
And I
plenty
said
of
a lot
our
of-
bros
yeah.
killed. That mentality
women in trouble
has gotten a lot of us put behind bars.
Because we live on it.
Yes, that's why I loved Dave Chappelle when he did that whole segment of when keeping it real goes wrong because that shit is real life.
It is.
And the reality is, and I don't know this lady personally, I don't know her background, but I know at this stage in my life, I got too much shit to lose. To feel like I gotta have the last word. I gotta be right. You know what? I don't even care at this point, bro. My mission is to make sure I get home safely to my children and my children make it home safely. And I feel like there were hard life lessons for everyone to learn. I hope that young man seeks therapy.
Yeah.
I hope from this he realizes you don't have to have the last word because you could have lost your whole life in a split second. If that man had a gun on him, what if he would have killed her son? And from my understanding, now there is a price on her son's head. So her and him need to get out of Chicago as soon as possible and go into hiding. She's also now suing Chicago for arresting her when they did, which I'm not going to say right or wrong. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not going to get all into that. But I know if I got my son back after that, I'm laying low.
I'm getting the fuck out of Dodge. I just think that, like I said, a lot of us rest on from traumas, from our neighborhoods, from our upbringing, from just instilling, I don't want to look like, even when you're grown and you're accomplished and you're even in different settings, it's like you're not letting anyone punk you, for lack of better words. And so sometimes we don't realize that walking away is the power. I've had to learn that. I learned that the really hard way, that you got it.
Yep.
You got it.
But who should have walked away?
Both.
Because
he can't even walk now. So maybe he should have walked away.
Right.
Both should have walked away for the simple fact y'all were there to get a meal. And it's turned into a whole crime and a murder scene.
But
over a hot dog and some chicken wings.
It was hot dogs.
I think she
it was a
ordering
burger.
hot dogs, or it was a
glizzy.
hot dog spot or
Not a
something like that.
glizzy.
Right.
You know, Chicago dogs, they said it's the best.
I don't know because
I'm looking at the video. I see pizza and hamburgers.
Yeah, it was like
made
a food,
everything.
it was
It's
a
an
food
American
spot.
joint. Now the thing is with me, I don't see myself fighting anybody while I got any of my daughters with me unless there's an imminent threat for them, right? Like if I'm in an argument with this guy about some food and he's threatening my life or threatening anything to do with me and my daughter is around, you know what? Let's go. You know, my daughter's here. Like, why do you feel like you need to tell him to go get the gun instead of leaving out of the spot?
Well, the thing about it was he wasn't even in the spot. She told him to bring it in, allegedly.
Like, that's the crazy part.
Yeah.
That's kind of like
I mean-
that's kind of like what do you call it? Premeditated. Because you're telling him
that's
to
what
bring
they're
a
saying.
no,
gun.
it's not premeditated. It's because you are perceiving danger. It's the same thing. And
All right, but you leave. Did you have an option to leave? Because he said,
but I'm waiting on my glizzy. Well done.
That's okay. See, that's where it gets a little weird, where
It's a
they
little
say
tricky.
protect black women and everything like that, when she could have used her.
Now, what I will say in reference to the protect black women is black women have to learn how to respect black men as well.
Right.
And I'm going to say that because a lot of us talk reckless, and then when we are in the face of danger, it's like, oh my God, you're not going to come to my rescue. When sis, you was just telling me ain't no good nigga, deadbeat, ain't shit. My mama ain't shit. She shouldn't have had me. Should have swallowed
look
me.
like this
my
and-
daddy should have put her on my put me on my mama
Jasmine.
forehead. So I'm not gonna say black women shouldn't be protected, but this has to go both ways. And I'm not gonna say black women always disrespect black men. However, we are in a state of emergency in the black community that we're not even understanding at this point.
Agreed.
To where black women feel unprotected and black men feel like they don't have to protect us.
It's
Because we sometimes
women-
feel like black women don't respect us.
I was about to say that. I literally was going to say we are in a crisis point where black women feel unprotected and black men feel disrespected.
Yes. And they don't go hand in hand.
They don't coincide.
At all, to where, and I love when I hear people talk about the others, the melanin deprived people, but you don't ever sit and spend no real time with them. Because if you do, you understand that, yes, Becky respects her husband in the public, but when they get home, her husband ain't nothing but an ATM because all he does is pay the goddamn bills in here. He don't clean, he don't cook, he don't help take care of the kids, he don't drop nobody off to soccer, he don't do homework, he don't do none of that.
I've seen it.
Now it's funny because Oprah just did a whole article about how statistically, I believe it was a study with the CDC or one of those agencies, statistically black men are the most engaged fathers in the country.
I believe it.
I do too.
I had one.
I do too. And I have one to this day.
Keyword had.
My father is amazing. My kid's father is amazing.
My dad was too.
I love black men. I love black fathers. Ain't nothing like it. The fact that Father's Day was right around Juneteenth, that energy was everything
I got
to
one
me.
better for you. It wasn't Father's. No, it wasn't Father's Day. That just happened. No,
Yeah.
it was Father's Day, right?
Father's Day and Juneteenth was a day apart. It was the energy was infectious for me, right? But like I said, as black women, we've got to get back to a place where we are respecting them. Because I can't expect you to show up and protect and love and provide, and I don't even know how to talk to you. I got to always learn how to talk to the king in you. I don't care how mad I get. And I learned that in therapy, that for me to manifest the man that I wanted in my life, I had to learn how to always speak to him like the man I wanted in my life, even when I'm mad at him.
Teach that shit.
You know what I'm saying?
Say it again.
And I had to learn how to speak to the man that I wanted in my life all the time. I needed to speak to him as
your
that
king.
man.
Ooh.
Right? To where when we
Even when he acting like a court jester?
Yes.
Okay.
Even when we get upset with each other, there are rules. We don't hit below the belt. Like, it's a lot of things and a lot of growing that I've done, but we've all got to get to that place.
Yeah.
To where he was dead wrong for hitting her. She was probably wrong for saying something. I don't know what she said. I didn't get to get all into it either. But, and then for the men standing around, I can understand sometimes, I've read articles where men have gotten into it. Like there was a guy not too long ago in Walmart, and matter of fact, I'm almost sure he's from Queens. Him and his wife moved down south, just had a baby. Man in Walmart was beating this woman up. He intervened, and the men got into it, and the man killed him. So now this baby's fatherless. This woman has lost her husband, all because he was trying to step in and be a stellar man and say, yo, fam, chill, she's a woman.
And that bitch probably still take care of him behind bars. Child.
Probably. So I get it as black men where you're hesitant to step in because, sometimes it happens with your own siblings, right? What happens when your sister's getting her ass beat by Ray Ray from down the block and you done stepped to Ray Ray, like, yo, don't put your hands on my sister no more.
I love him. Don't be talking to him like that. We're going to be together forever.
Exactly. And now the sister's like, yo, you know my brother crazy. He da-da-da-da. Like, hold up, sis. I just came to your defense. Like, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? So I get the hesitation. It's a rock and a hard place for me.
But Jazz, okay, playing devil's advocate, right? You in the same breath, are we still not supportive? Are we still not protective? Are we still not on the front lines for our men who disrespect us, who degrade us, be it from our platonic to loved ones to relationship? We show up and show out for black men at the cost and expense of us quite often.
But we all don't. Some of us show up. Some of us just show up to look good.
Yep.
Some of us just show up to say we was a part of the number. Some of us just show up to say, yeah, I was there, but then you disrespecting a black man behind the scenes. They don't walk. You got to walk it like you talk it, literally, right? So if you're going to stand on the front lines for Black Lives Matter and these black men that get killed at the hands of the police, and I love black men, then baby, you got to love black men.
And I feel like what you said, right, Jada, I feel like, you know how you say, oh, we show up and this, that, and the other. But I feel like that's some low-key abuse. And it causes Stockholm syndrome for the man. Let me tell you why.
Go ahead.
Because
yeah, hear this one.
you can give him, you could show up for him, do all this for him, but then behind closed doors, you calling him all types of names and doing whatever you need to do to make you feel better about what you think he did to you or doing to you, and he's sitting there and have to deal with that all the time. Is that fair? Like, okay, I show up with you. You know, I cook, I clean for you, I blah, blah, blah. But you also disrespect me. You also publicly make me feel some type of way.
Well, that's manipulative.
It is. And I think that, again, it goes back to what Jasmine said. A lot of us need therapy.
Yes.
Like, mental health is wealth. We need to learn how to love one another. And the first thing you have to do is learn how to love yourself. A lot of black women, a lot of black men do not love ourselves. We say we do, but our actions and what we accept and what we allow and what we settle for always tell us otherwise. And a lot of us don't learn how to love ourselves. And a lot of us are raised on survival versus raised on love.
Yes.
And because of that, it makes it very hard to love you in the way that I am capable. I remember having a conversation with my cousin. He's a guy. And he was telling me how his mother had never told him that he loved her, that he loved him. He's like, I know she do, but she's never physically said the words. And all I want her for her cousin is to do to tell me she loves me. And that, it was like, dang. And I had to tell him, it's not that she doesn't want to. She's not capable. She doesn't have the tools to be able to do this. I'm not going to go into a whole bunch of backstories, but there's some things there. And that seems to be the problem in a lot of our communities. We don't have, nor do we seek, the tools to learn how to love properly. Everybody is quick to get into a relationship, but nobody actually finds out what it takes to sustain one. And not just sustain one, to sustain a productive relationship.
So I'm glad you said that, because I also, like, this is such a snowball effect for me, because I also feel like as black women, and there's no offense to the single black mothers raising black children, I salute every mother, parent, parental figure, auntie, I don't care who you are. But as black women, we have to get back to teaching these young men real standards. There's no reason why your young black son is not taking the garbage out. there's no reason why your young black son is not meeting you at the curb or in the driveway to take the groceries out and he's putting them away. We are missing the fundamentals because we're so busy coddling these children and we're so busy keeping them fresh to death, but they ain't got no morals. Entitlement, period.
We're raising entitled children.
The reality of it is you can tell that that gentleman, I can't even call him that
young boy, he's a boy. He's a boy.
No, not the son. Not the son. The aggressor. Yeah.
Assailant?
You can tell, number one, he wasn't raised with love, but he probably don't love his mama at all. The reality is a lot of you black men don't love your mamas. So that's why when black women open their mouths, it's always aggressive. It's always a combative attitude because you really don't like your mama. And when I open my mouth, that's what you resonate with.
I remind you of
your mother's coming out of my mouth.
Oh my God.
Period.
Say that, sis.
So, and it stems from childhood to where little Ray cleaned his room. Ma, look, I cleaned my room. And instead of mom just praising it, it was but you didn't get under the bed. So that completely negated the rest of the room because all you heard was you didn't get under the bed.
Absolutely.
Right? So now that breeds disappointment. Resentment and a bunch of other stuff. And you hold on to that because men hold on to shit way longer than women do.
Right.
Way longer.
And we like, why you ain't get over that yesterday?
Right. Because I can go in the bathroom and cry and you still talking about some shit that happened with Keisha in the 3rd grade when she ain't share her gushes with the juice squirting out the middle.
She didn't check. She
we're not allowed to feel some type of way.
Who told you that?
Y'all are allowed.
We allowed, but
you have to learn how to get over it.
But when we do, get out of here. Be a man.
Who
all
said
that shit. That's how women. You know how women. You know how you guys are women.
No, but I'm glad you did touch on that too, Jazz.
Yeah, but y'all want us to get over shit the minute it happens.
You sure do. You want us to get over
you
you
cheating. And you feel like the minute you apologize, which we know you ain't really sorry for. You sorry that I found out or you got caught. But you feel like the minute you apologize, I'm supposed to be okay. What kills me about black men is the fact that you all will do some shit.
Right.
And not know how to fix it. Ooh. I'm not supposed to figure out how you make me feel better.
Right.
But
how to gain my trust. I gotta tell you how to gain my trust.
Right.
Back.
You found out completely. You were fine on how to figure out how to not lose my trust, how to lose it. So figure out how to gain that shit back. I shouldn't have to tell you and coach you on what could I do to make it right.
But I just want to piggyback on one thing that you said because that really stuck. When you were talking about the fact of, as women, what we pour into our sons and our loved ones. It is so important, black mothers, especially who raise sons. We cannot condone their bullshit. I've said this for years. You got to call them out. Because essentially, like, as a mother of 2 black boys, I always say this is my motto. I'm raising my black sons to never see the back of a police car. Ever. Okay? That is my number one priority behind being God-fearing and having integrity. You won't see a cell. My 9-year-old's biggest fear, we talk about this all the time. He says his biggest fear is going to jail and death. Great. Keep that fear so you don't get there. Mm-hmm. You got to die. We'll talk about that later. But you keep that fear of jail because you won't go there. Right. But the most detrimental thing to a black man is having an ignorant-ass black woman in his
child.
You feel me?
About it.
Whether it's your mama, your auntie, your sister, or your woman.
Yes.
Because we can incite you to be great or we can incite you to riot or to kill. Pick your 3.
And a lot of black men have never seen another black man loved properly, respected properly. Yeah. We've gotten away from that because granddaddy was dying so young from high cholesterol and hypertension and everything else. So we didn't get to see grandma speak life into that man, that every time he got up to be a laborer, she made sure breakfast was cooked, lunch was made, and dinner was on the table by the time he got home. We missed that era. Right, we missed that unless you had that. Unless you had that, because grandma and them was really helping raise you. You didn't get, or you went down south for the summers. You didn't really always get that. And then what happened? Granddaddy died, and then grandma got her little friend, Mr. Earl, down the street, who got to sneak over. Yes. Mr. Earl got to sneak over to it, so you don't really get to see right, and you don't really get to see the love that they had. We are missing that in the black community. We're missing speaking to each other a certain way, loving on each other. Like, I went out for Juneteenth.
Okay, go ahead.
And my God, like that energy, the way everybody spoke to each other. I was in Charlotte
and I seen that.
It was beautiful.
But friend, let me tell you something. I feel like the hope that you just speak of, I feel like this generation, we're starting to see that because a lot of us we're breaking down those trauma bonds and we're aware of them. So there is hope for that Black love that we need to be able. A lot of our Black. I was riding through Baldwin yesterday. I'm talking about that's
the harbor.
The harbor, not the beginning of Baldwin.
No, the harbor.
And I've seen so many Black families.
Yes,
Baldwin has become
I know a few
overwhelmingly Black.
Yes, it is one of
the
rising Black communities.
It made me feel good because it's like I seen about 3 different Black children. One was riding a bike, the other one was skateboarding, the other one was sitting on his step, and I'm like, yeah. Because it lets you know that this nucleus family, it does exist.
Yes.
And I think if we get to a place where many of us are addressing it, whether you're in Baldwin or you're in the 40 Green projects, you can produce and have the family that you desire. It takes work though.
Absolutely.
You gotta want that.
Yes.
You have to cultivate that. And it's important for us to cultivate a loving, positive home with your children, whether you are in a 2-family home, a heterosexual, a goat and a billy dog, whatever it is, you got to enforce what you want to see, what you want to be.
Yes,
right.
I agree.
Whoa, Shatek.